Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick video explaining one of the different many perspectives on the coming shift and to help give you some insight on why I've been talking about service to self and service to others so much lately. Now those terms, service to self and service to others, may be new to some of you. I know some of you are very familiar with the law of attraction and a lot of the other things I've talked about. These terms, you may have heard of them, you may not have. Well, these terms originated in material that was channeled in the early 80s called the raw material. And this was also put into a book form, the Law of One series. And you may have heard me talking about the Law of One. Edgar Casey talked about it back in the 20s through the 40s. And it was carried over and referenced again in the raw material. Now the raw material is very similar to the Seth material. I haven't read all the Seth material. I can only speak on what I have read, which is the book Seth Speaks. The raw material in a lot of ways gets a lot deeper than at least what was in the book Seth Speaks. It really gets into colors, vibrations, light waves, how that all works to create what we call reality in our experiences. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. But I wanted to talk about the raw group's perspective on what's coming up and why it's important to be service to others over service to self. Now, first of all, 30 years ago, they were predicting, or possibly predicting, that what they call the harvest, we would call the shift or the ascension into 5D, they called that the harvest. And they explained it that we were going from 3rd density Earth to 4th density Earth. Now, density is different than dimension, but for the average person, it's not really going to make a bit of difference. So I will spare you the explanations because it's not going to affect anything one way or the other. The important thing is that you got your ticket to either 4th density or 5th dimensional Earth, however you want to call it. Now they were very clear in that there's 2 ways to ascend to 4th density or 5th density. You can actually go all the way up to 6th density via 2 routes. After 6th density, you had to get unified, positive, love, service to others. But before you got all the way up to 6th density, you had 2 routes. One is service to others, and the other is service to self. Obviously, service to others, you've heard me talk about how important that is. And then you have the service to self, which I prefer not to go that route. I don't want to cast judgment on anyone who is, but it's not working for me. So that's just my perspective on it. Now, these are the 2 paths you have. The criteria for ascending was given as one must be 51% service to others. That means 51% of your actions or thoughts are geared towards assisting others and helping others. Or you have to be 95% service to self, which means 95% of your thoughts and actions have to be solely serving the self. Now, if you ask me, just by the numbers alone, I'm going to say that it is extremely, extremely difficult to ascend in service to self mode. Much more difficult than it would be to be service to others. And that is because the sheer numbers of decisions that have to be made solely serving the self is just crazy. 95%. Even some of the nastiest people you know probably do more than 5% of their actions are geared towards assisting others, believe it or not. It may not seem like that all the time, but you've got to be pretty darn selfish to be in that 95% range. And over here on the other side, service to others, only 51%. And that doesn't mean that every decision you make is about serving others. It just means that just over half of those decisions in your lifetime are meant to help other people. And this is not hard at all. Think about all the people who call you on the phone, ask you for help. Think about those meditations you've sat down to do to help the children or to help your neighbors, to raise the consciousness for people. Maybe you're meditating for a specific set of people. Maybe you're meditating upon your family. Think about that money you sent and donated to a charity, or the homeless person you bought food for, or the money you contributed to a person who was in need. So you see, we naturally are doing a lot of things already that are helping other people. So now, obviously, we've got these two paths. We've got the criteria, which is 51% service to others, 95% service to self. Those are the people that are going to make what they call the harvest. They're going to ascend. That's right. The next age of Earth will have polarity as well. We're not going into straight up unity totally. There will be much less of what we call negativity, but there still will be a polarity to provide us opportunity to learn, some contrast. It just won't be to the extent that the service to self group have so much control that they do now. They'll be pretty much barely existent. They will exist, but in such a small group that it won't affect the larger group. They'll just be there to present something to contrast off of, so that we can still grow and work on our spiritual development. Now that leaves a group in the middle there that, they're maybe 60% service to self, 40% service to others. These people are what the Bible refers to as being lukewarm. They can't make their decision one way or the other. They're just in the middle. They haven't made a decision what team they're going to play for. They haven't decided their direction. They're probably people who could care less about the deeper meanings in life. So what does it mean for them? If all these other groups, these two other groups, are going to the ascension, what's going to happen to them? Well, according to the raw material, they're going to have to finish their third density life experiences on another third density planet or reality. So they're going to have to continue that. I've also heard some say that they're going to have to start their lessons all over again if they miss it. That means they're going to have to go back as cavemen on a third density planet and start to rebuild society and civilization. I don't know if I believe any of that. All I know is that love and forgiveness is the key. I do resonate with a big chunk of the raw material in the Law of One, and I think it's beneficial for anyone to read and experience themselves. Highly recommend it, and just like with everything else, if there's a part of it that doesn't sound right, maybe the rest of it does. Take what sounds great, leave kindly what doesn't. You don't have to offer judgment. You don't have to think just because one thing is suspect that all of it is, because here's what happens with channeled material. And I don't care who you are or who you're channeling, there's going to be some distortion. That means from the greatest channels, even Edgar Casey, to Abraham Hicks, whether you like them or not, regardless of their message, there is going to be distortion in the material, and that's a given. Even me, I'm a Council of 12 soul incarnated. I've been around for a long, long time, but there's going to be my ego influencing some of the things I say. So that's why I always say it's not important what you believe, it's important what you do and the actions. And that's why I also say that you should never follow a teacher blindly. You have to look within and find your own inner guidance. People like me and these other channels and teachers and spiritual advisors can be great for showing you a way, offering guidance, hey, you could try this. This is the message I've been given to offer to people who resonate with this message. Or I'm here for this particular type of person. This teacher over here is for that person. So that's why I'm so big about going within, following your own intuition first, and then letting those of us like me in my position just assist. We are there to, I would rather get you to follow your own intuition and look within and develop your own gifts in communication with your higher self than you just straight up listen to whatever I say. We as humans, we are souls having a human experience. And we're so much bigger than any of us have ever really understood. And there's so much out there to learn about ourselves. And it's not really that we're even learning it. It's just that we got to remember it. So rather than following a teacher blindly or doing whatever this person says or that person says, I'd rather you do some research, put your due diligence in, but always follow your inner guidance, because that's where you'll find Christ. That's where you find God is inside. So I'm just here to assist. We're all here to assist. Take what you need and then go forward. And in regarding to the law of one material, if I had to suggest different material that I think would be great as far as plotting a path of spiritual growth in my life, I would say, you start with Edgar Cayce. You want to read the Law of One material. You want to read Seth Speaks. And you're going to want to read the Dolores Cannon work. And then there's Conversations with God, and there's all these other supplemental pieces that are great. But I think all these really work together to create a broader understanding of what we're going through with the shift. That doesn't mean I think everything that Edgar Cayce said is right on. Now, I do happen to think he was one of the most accurate messengers that we've had, but his work was geared to a different audience than the audience we have today. His stuff came out very biblical sounding because that was expected and like the authoritative association with it. So, and his material was very, even though it got kind of deep, it was very much like the intro, yet still powerful and accurate. But it was the intro into some of the deeper concepts that you'll eventually get into once you get up to the Dolores Cannon material and the stuff she's discovering. Her work, in my opinion, resonates quite well with Edgar Cayce and with my own work in the Akashic Records. Even the few times where it seems as though they don't line up, I can assure you that they do. So that's why they're important. I think they go well together. Again, I'm not going to follow any of those totally blindly. I take what resonates, I work it in, I assimilate it, and I follow my intuition, my own inner self, and my working with the council. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to learn how to discover your own dreams, what they mean, how you can hear from your own spirit guides, and all that goodness. That's where we're going with it. So I hope the video's helped. I hope that this just offers some insight on how important the service to others and service to self topic is right now. it's a passion on my mind and my heart, because so many people are getting stuck in the flavor of the month spirituality that's in reality taking them so far away from the actual truth, and they don't even know it, because it's tickling the ear, it's gratifying the ego, and it's so easy to do and get lost in. I've been guilty of it too, so of getting excited about those things that tickle the ego. So it's a journey for us all. So don't feel like if you're a little bit confused with where you need to be at, don't feel like that's a wrong thing. Those are those moments where it's so exciting, where to go, what should I read, what should I understand. Sometimes you're going to be led to get into some material that doesn't resonate at all. It just provides a counter to what you're already experiencing, so it gives you more strength and conviction in your own experience. So there we have it. I hope that helps. I think I said that already. I can never remember what I said. It's like I told you guys before, this is not scripted. It's all from my mind, from my heart, from my spirit. Sometimes I will have an idea in mind of what I want to talk about, obviously, and some of the points that I want to make I get just throughout the day. But this isn't written down. I'm not rehearsing it. It's just coming out as is. So if you can bear with it, I'm here for you. Hopefully some of this will help you in your spiritual growth, so that you can move beyond where you're currently at and move to the next step, because that's what we're all trying to do together. So with that in mind, I love you. I hope you've had a great day or night or morning, whatever it is when you're reading this, and I hope that it continues to be wonderful, if not even better than it started. So I'll see you next time. Namaste.